Welcome to Thunder Nerds. I'm Brian Hinton.
Philip Von Vice. Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology that love what they do
And do tech good.
Doing tech, yeah.
Who are we with right now?
Should we first say where we are?
Yeah, probably. We're in Fort Lauderdale at the UX+DEV Summit, and it's an event going on 3 days, is it, Frederick?
It's 4 days, 5 days, actually.
Oh, okay.
There's 4 days of workshops, and then there's today, which is the day of conferences. And I think there's some peripheral workshops on the side, too.
Yeah, and you can still get in. They're still selling tickets, so you can still come and see today and attend some workshops this weekend.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but
without any further ado, let's go ahead and welcome our guest. We have Rachel Parsons. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Especially as we were talking, you're going to be speaking in just a little
10
bit
minutes.
today.
10 minutes. They moved it up.
I might be late. Yeah, I'm speaking at 11 on Docker for mobile developers. And really for front-end developers, too. Like, there are some concepts that will be applicable to everybody. So
nice. Well, before we dive into that, do you mind just telling us a little bit about you, who you are, and what you do?
Don't mind at all. So I'm Rachel Parsons. I work for Cardinal Solutions Group, which is based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. But I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we actually have offices in 7 cities. So we have one in Tampa is probably the closest one.
Oh, okay.
Here. So,
okay.
But we're an IT consulting firm, and I am AppDev Practice Manager, focused primarily on mobile development, but also because our world's changing very quickly, DevOps, cloud architecture, all of that fun stuff.
Wait, tech changes? What?
I know, surprise. So I've been getting into DevOps. I've been doing mobile development for the last 6 years, did web development before that, a lot of front-end stuff, C#, Java, all the fun technologies. I've done everything over my career. And so now I'm getting into DevOps, and so that's kind of where I am and what I'm up to.
So you said earlier, talks about Docker. Like, why Docker? Why are you talking about that?
Mainly because I wanted to learn it.
That's a consistent thing. We've interviewed quite a few people that have done talks, and that's a big driving force. If you want to learn something, teach it.
There are a couple of ways that I learn best, and it's very rarely sitting in a classroom or reading a book. I do read a lot, but practical application is number one for me.
Yeah, immersion.
So working on a project or doing a talk, I found, which doing a talk I'm trying to do some sort of demo, so it's a sort of project. So because I've done mobile development and I've seen how painful it is to interact with services with the back end.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just in so many different scenarios, because services are down, it is bad, and I'm like, all I want to do is write this stupid feature on the UI. Because I've experienced that so much, and I've seen how Docker can actually solve some of those problems, that was really kind of the idea behind the whole talk.
Yeah, have a local environment that anyone can just spin up because you share it.
It's isolated. And I found it to be surprisingly true in my demo, because I had another developer, I had a back-end developer actually create the image. I'm totally spoiling my talk.
That's okay.
Come at 11.
There's a lot more.
But I had another developer actually generate the image and build some services, and I have no idea.
So you're actually going to share
doing.
this with everyone while they're at the talk, so they can do it themselves live?
Yeah, not the mobile code, but
she's doing the mobile code live, everyone.
I do the mobile code. I can't share the code base, but the images, the Docker images are out there because there's nothing that's super secure about this project. So.
What specific things are you setting up in Docker?
I'm mainly just figuring out how to run it on my machine as a front-end developer. So I consider mobile a front end.
Absolutely,
obviously. And so really, I'm going to cover kind of the basics around what Docker is and the things you should know as a mobile developer, because it's really important to know kind of what context you're running in, what things are you installing on your machine, what is Docker actually doing when, because I was working with it last night, working through my demo last night, my machine was just just humming The fans are spun up.
And, I know, you can't have 300 Chrome tabs open.
I only had 8 open.
Tab suspender
in 5 different windows.
Yeah. You know, I had Xcode running, and I had, you know, you have your development environment running, and then you have other environments running, and that's, you know, so knowing what that is, knowing what you're actually running on your machine and how that's interacting.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And what you can expect from a back-end developer as they're handing off Docker containers and that kind of fun stuff. So, you know, as a mobile developer, you're like, I don't really care, but you know, what if I told you could have a solid back-end that is reliable, that you can modify, right? That if you have a local database.
How are you selling it though to people that might not even have heard of Docker?
You know, I've got a story that I'm going to tell.
Oh, I love stories.
Yeah.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to tell it here.
Oh man, I was hoping you would anyway.
Yeah, so maybe I'll record the session, but you know, there's some real world experiences where I've lost days of development repeatedly on the same project because our environments
something goes down, something doesn't sync right.
And there are development environments, right? These are environments that aren't going to be stable. There's no reason for them to be stable. So for me as a developer to have a stable environment that I can hit locally, like that's really where the value is. And my talk isn't super in depth. You don't have to be a Docker expert. You just have to know a couple commands. You have to know enough, like contextually about it. You don't have to know. I'm not going to tell you how to create a Docker image. I'm not there yet in my learning. So, you know, I'm not going to teach you how to be a back-end developer. It's really about taking the skills that you have today and how do you apply them, and maybe expanding on those skills. And maybe you do need to learn a little bit more about how Linux works.
Possibly. I think it's so valuable to share those ideas as you're just starting to formulate your own kind of thought on how this works. And you're not coming from as like, I am a Docker expert. I've done this for 27 years because Docker was around back then.
79 is when isolated processes were invented. So
80.
Oh no, 1980. Okay. We're dating ourselves, but you get the idea, everybody. But like to have this idea of like what these things are and just come to the table with like, hey, here's my thoughts on it. I think that's super valuable because a lot of us are in the same boat where we're like, hey, how do you do this? So yeah,
and I think it's a common misconception that to know Docker, to learn Docker, oh, you got to be an engineer.
It's really hard, guys.
An electrical engineer, right? Like you have to have this mindset.
Degree from Harvard.
Yeah, right. And that's not reality. That's not reality for anybody. Even the people who are really smart, Harvard, MIT, types. That's not how they perceive themselves either.
There's even front end on Mac. I think it might be on Windows 2. Kitematic. Did you use that at all?
Oh yeah.
I've heard of it. I've heard of it, but I was like, okay, too much. Drinking from the front of DevOps has been quite interesting. So.
Yeah, that's like it's a front end. It gives you a GUI to basically start and stop Docker instances.
Yeah,
and things like that.
Which I definitely am in the camp of. I love the CLI. I even forget interactions. I tend to not use the GUIs. So just a personal preference. I won't judge you if you prefer that. That's totally.
Stop judging me.
I've just had a lot of trouble, probably because I was on Windows for so much of my early career.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. When did you make the Mac switch?
About the time I started doing iOS development in 2010. Yeah, so I've been Mac since 2010.
Oh, wow.
I will never go back.
Now Windows is getting popular again.
Yeah, it really is.
Windows 10 runs Linux. Or I could just run Mac OS or Linux. I mean, I'm just.
So you live now in Charlotte, you said?
Yeah.
What's it like up in Charlotte? I've heard there's amazing I always talk about food on the show. There's amazing food in Charlotte.
There is some good food in Charlotte. I wouldn't say it's a foodie town. but we've got some good spots coming up. We've got some good barbecue actually making it into the city, which is good. But really the best barbecue is outside of Charlotte.
Oh, really? Do you have a location? Do you have a
North
location?
Carolina, okay.
Yeah, so Lakeshore Barbecue up in Denver, North Carolina is one of my favorites.
Denver?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's
Denver
confusing.
Of the East.
That's really confusing.
Oh, wait, Denver?
Yeah. And so I mean that's
a note in the...
yeah, it's worth a drive in my opinion. Favorite, but if you can't get out of Charlotte, if you're at an airport or like you can't, because that's far. That's like a 45-minute drive without traffic. Midwood Smokehouse is the best barbecue in Charlotte proper. Huh. So yeah, we've got good barbecue. We've got a lot of like good local. We've got some good Hispanic restaurants.
Really?
And
I don't link Charlotte and Hispanic.
Yeah, we've got a lot of good Spanish food. A lot of and not like generic chain Mexican food, but really good homemade. Through my buddy.
So that it wouldn't be Tex-Mex. It would be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Charmex?
Yeah,
Charmex?
Like
Charmex, that sounds good.
Right. Maybe it would classify as Tex-Mex in the more broad sense. But we've got a lot of good Asian restaurants as well. I'm trying to. Fudo Buta is a really great noodle bar. So really.
I'm getting hungry now. I just ate.
I didn't eat breakfast. So we've got some good food. It's been exciting to see the scene really mature out of the chain. I don't know, just the deadness of chains.
Do you? I always talk about when people are in Georgia or Carolinas, I'm like, do you go hiking? Because I love.
Oh my God!
I love hiking up there. So Blue Ridge Parkway, I love it.
Yes.
So amazing.
Yes, if you love Blue Ridge Parkway, highly recommend South Mountain State Park.
South Mountains. I think I may have been there.
If you haven't. Even if you have been there, you should go back.
I mean, that's
my favorite.
Our yearly October trip is Tallulah Falls.
Oh yeah.
Because we love. Have you been there?
No,
the Stairs
I haven't,
of Doom.
Yeah.
There's straight up like 300 stairs down and 300 stairs back up.
So South Mountain will be no problem for you because it's similar. It's their falls and it's a mile straight up and a mile straight down. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds.
It's been great.
That's great.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Do you do winter hiking? I've never actually done winter hiking. I'm always curious what it is.
Yeah, that sounds so much fun.
It is fun. I actually did winter hiking this year for the first time.
Is there anything special you have to do? Do you just make sure you're really good hiking?
Yeah, clothing definitely makes a difference. The gear that you
obviously.
I mean,
I'm wondering if there's like special shoes beyond normal hiking.
No, shoes. Okay. No.
I'm a Floridian. I'm like snow. What?
Yeah, right. So
looks like sand.
Shoes, no. But if you don't use trekking poles, you should.
You should.
Depending on the trail conditions, because so I hiked an area up near Boone, North Carolina, which is where App State is, and I hiked that on January 2nd, and there was so much ice and snow everywhere. It was beautiful. It was absolutely incredible. Wow. But you have to have. I would not have gotten around it without my trekking poles because like there are a couple of. There are actually probably 5 or 6 areas where you get across and it was totally frozen over.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I live in North Carolina. Does this really happen? Yeah. So there was a lake that was frozen over up there, and it was just really cold.
Yeah,
there were people out there walking on it, and because it was like 25 degrees or something outside. Wow. And so it was really fun though. I highly recommend it, but you have to be geared properly. So trekking poles, and then making sure you have the right. Flip flops probably not a good idea. No, boots, good socks, and then smart wool like layers. I actually ended up shedding layers and was down to short sleeves at one point, but like was the smart wool short sleeve stuff. I feel like when it gets into
like the high 20s, 30s, you don't really, especially if you're moving around.
Yeah. You get warm.
Like when I sat down, I had to put my coat on and.
It's like my ideal weather, 32.
Yeah, me too.
You're living in the wrong spot.
I know I am. I say that every day. Like Frederick, why am I in Florida? He's the same way though.
Yeah, I love it.
He wants to move to Alaska.
I do, kind of.
I hear it's beautiful up there.
Yeah. So are you from the Carolinas or?
I've been there for a long time. I don't really consider myself from there. I was born in Arizona and I have got some really strong connections out west. I've got family in California, and so
trying to place your accent, because it's you kind of have a southern accent a little bit.
Yeah, it depends on who I'm talking to and how drunk I am.
Hey,
y'all.
That is so true. I had a friend from Scotland. He did not sound Scottish 100% of the time. Well, 98% of the time until he started drinking, and then it was ridiculously thick. I'm like, what is going on? Why is this happening?
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I've been in North Carolina for a really long time.
How'd you move out there? Why'd you leave Arizona?
So my dad worked for IBM back in the 80s.
Oh, how cool.
So
that's what
golden
piqued
age.
The interest in the
he's an electrical engineer.
How
He's
cool.
since retired, but yeah, that's what got me into programming, got me into tech in general. And that's what brought us to Charlotte, because they had a big manufacturing plant there, and he was designing a whole bunch of stuff
how cool.
for Pro Printer and some other things. You guys are probably too young for that, but most people probably don't even really know those products anymore. So, but yeah, it was really cool, to grow up with computers in the house all the time. When the internet came out, we were on. My first experiences were on bulletin board systems and Moos and Muds, and before we really had.
I played. That's terminal based.
Yeah,
game.
Yeah.
It's role playing in the terminal. I wonder if they're still going at all.
I think they are. I think they are. I think I looked back the other day because it was like, I wonder if that's still a thing, and it is.
That's so cool.
Why not?
Yeah.
So that's actually where I did my first real coding, because you could program in the game.
You could build your own
rooms and that kind of thing. I was like, this is cool.
What was your character? What were you?
The character, like who I was.
In the game,
Pinky. I was Pinky.
Yes.
So,
and that's where I read in certain circles known as Pinky.
So online, you'll find me Pinky Rage,
why Pinky?
Pinky in the Brain.
Yeah, Pinky in the Brain.
People used to call me Brain, so I thought
really?
it was funny.
Here we are.
I was like, really, Pinky? People used to call me Brain. I was wondering if it was because of that.
It was from the cartoon. I needed a handle.
What are we going to do today?
They're actually bringing back Animaniacs?
I did hear that.
Yeah.
I'm cautiously excited about that.
I wish they could bring it back and have it be more like, what's that? Like Bob's Burgers style, like more adult oriented.
Yeah. It was pretty adult.
Yeah, it was.
What are you? I'm a penis. A what? A penis. Good night, everybody. Whoa! A kid show. Yeah.
That was the best part about it.
Was that the one that had the golf thing? My blue ball go down the hole. That one was that. Go down the hole. Animaniacs?
I think it was.
Yeah,
I think that was one of the characters.
One of the bits. Yeah, because that's exactly it. Pinky in the Brain started out in Animaniacs, not as its own standalone.
Which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
the
Simpsons and Tracy Ullman show. So.
Really?
Yeah. The Simpsons were a spinoff from Tracy Ullman.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Learning all sorts of things on the show.
Bring the knowledge.
Yes.
So who started calling you Pinky though? Did you just be like, I like that character, I'm Pinky?
Funny. It happened on a hike. We were hiking.
Yeah, right. So that's your trail name.
That's also my trail. It will be it's my nickname. Yeah. It'll be my trail. We were hiking, and I was wearing a pink shirt that day, and I was trailing behind, and my buddy was like, "Come on, Pinky!" And not long after that, I had to pick an internet handle because it was the mid-90s, right?
Sure, of course.
Oh, okay, what am I going to be on the internet? All right, I'll be Pinky. Yeah. Well, that's a good one.
And you were early enough that didn't have to be Pinky 1 2 3 4 Q.
Right. I had Pinky, PINKY, for the emails with that for the longest time until...
You don't have Pinky at gmail.com?
No, I don't. Because whenever it happened,
that's
AOL
not professional.
Instant Messenger. Yeah, AOL Instant Messenger is how I landed at Pinky Rage because I couldn't get PINK.
Oh, okay.
So Pinky Rage came about
in the
late 90s, right? I'm very creative because I didn't want to be 1 2 3 4 5. And so that stuck, and that's
nice. And what's the Twitter handle? Do you go by
Pinky Rage?
Pinky Rage.
PINKEERACH.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not confusing at all.
No, I actually switched mine. Mine used to be Brian N. Hinton because of my middle name, and I thought, oh, it's my full name, but no, Brian N. Trying to communicate that there's an N in the middle. Horrible and obnoxious. And email. Oh, you think your email is great to be your full name? No, it's not, because you have to spell that and make sure they know what it is.
There's no winning that battle. There's no winning that battle. So I have the same handle on Twitter that I've had since I created my Insta Messenger, AOL Insta Messenger. RIP.
Do you miss it?
You know what? I logged into it when I heard they were decommissioning it. I was like, oh, I should log in. Oh, I was able to get in. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's so great.
Anyone actually on?
No, but oh my gosh, all of the contacts and people that I was talking to, all of the fake accounts that we were creating.
It's crazy because all that, I wonder if all those talks and messages are just sitting on a server somewhere.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
To come back and haunt us later.
In the Library of Congress.
Good stuff. Good
1999, you said,
like, oh man, I did say that. I was 18, I'm sorry.
So before we start letting you go, is there anything else that you want to tell people? Any kind of advice you would give them about Docker or
hiking?
I mean, if you make it up to North Carolina, definitely recommend South Mountain State Park. If you're into hiking, even if you're not, even if you just want to go see some waterfalls. But as far as Docker and really technology in general, you know, if there's something you want to learn about, you don't have to do a talk. But doing a talk is a really good way and to do that, to learn something. And don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Don't think you have to come in as an expert, like you were saying earlier. You don't have to be the expert on that technology. You just have to, you know, have some message, have something to share, because that's really what these conferences are really about.
Exactly.
You know, bringing some knowledge, some tidbit that you've learned, maybe some fun saying or a really cool animated GIF.
Oh, sounds like you have one. Do you have a really cool
animation? I better go get one. I have 40 minutes. I know, right?
Well, how's the best way people could find out more about you?
So, man, that's a good question.
Twitter.
Twitter is at PinkyRach, PinkeeRach. That's probably the best way. You know, cardinalsolutions.com if you want to find out more about my company. I've written a couple blog posts out there. And yeah, that's Twitter's the best way to reach out. So.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Rachel. Really appreciate it.
Great
this is fun.
Yeah, thanks. All right, well, thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back.
We'll be here all day.
All day.